I'm gonna try. Hello everyone, thank you for joining us. Not sure, we've been going through some technical difficulties here this evening, but it would seem that we have everything working now. Just to test and check real quick before we get into the action on track. Sergeant, are you now able to include your audio? Is everything working on your end?
I am indeed.
Wonderful. As we just now seen on track, the newcomer to BRL Tier 1, BRL Neymar. Many of you may remember this driver as BRL or EGC Sparky. He was recently moved from Tier 2 to Tier 1 last week after he showed amazing pace around the Bahrain circuit and won that race. So he's now moved from the Tier 2 racing point to the Tier 1 Haas team. So pleasure to see VRL Neymar up here fighting with the best in the business that VRL has to offer. Let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. Many of you may be thinking, why do I not hear Dan? Well, unfortunately, Dan has some things going on right now that it's made him unable to commentate these races. So unfortunately, we don't get to hear from Dan tonight. You'll have to just get stuck dealing with me. Again, BRL Aldifer, it's a pleasure to be here with all of you again as you begin to tune in to the stream again. Joining me in the booth is Sergeant Milk, the gentleman that usually commentates Tier 2, has been asked to come along and commentate Tier 1 with me tonight. Sergeant, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Just got done commentating Tier 2, as you said. Very entertaining race, to say the least. A lot of drama, lot of safety cars, but a very, very good race. Hopefully we can see the same here.
Well, this is a brand new circuit. Really, none of these guys have been around this street circuit in race format. Many of them have been going around the track in time trial and small time practice laps in small practice sessions with friends. This is going to be the first time we see all 16 of these drivers on track together at the Hanoi Street Circuit. Like we've said before, brand new circuit to the Formula One calendar. Unfortunately, we're not even going to get to see the real Formula One cars go around this track this year. It looks like Hanoi will not become part of the calendar for the 2020 season, but hopefully we'll be able to see them in 2021. Let's just talk about this track real quick. Many gentlemen that are piloting these cars are calling this just a newer, more stretched out version of Monaco. Very difficult to pass here, as we saw throughout the Tier 2 race. This racetrack is on asphalt, but it's city asphalt, so it's not the grippiest asphalt. It's 3.4 miles long. For those of you in kilometers, that's 5.6 kilometers. And it has 23 turns that are all very tight and hard to negotiate after you've been on that tire for a couple of laps. Sergeant, who do you think is going to be one of the guys to watch tonight that'll be able to nurse their tires and get the most out of them at the end?
Honestly, I've got no clue about many of these drivers. So I'm not too sure about who can do what on what tyre and who does what. So ask me after qualifying and I'll have to give you an answer then.
Very well, very well. We're on track now, currently watching along as the two McLarens are following behind what would appear to be a Red Bull to me. Yes, that is going to be a Red Bull. I believe that might be Next Stalo. No, that's going to be Hoopalicious. So they are currently following Hoopalicious through the hairpin, making their way, all of them headed out of turn 12, heading toward 13 now, as it looks like the McLarens are swapping positions. B-Dunk didn't want to be in front of Ginger Horizon. Ginger Horizon currently the fastest car on track in the McLaren with a 133.3. Let's see if we can find anybody on a lap. Looks like Chandler is currently on a lap. Looks like he's just started that lap as he rounds his way through turn 4 and 5, makes his way onto the straight. Coming down to turn 6, very heavy braking zone where you have to really jump the curbing here. Just watch as he goes through this small portion of the track, which is very technical, really gets on top of the curbing there. This is going to be a great time through here. Gets a good exit with plenty of speed all the way to 7th gear very rapidly, already taking 8th. At 190 mile an hour now, you open the DRS right here. DRS opened very good for him. He's catching another car who's now moved over. Heavy braking into the hairpin. This is a hairpin that you need to get a very late apex on to get a good exit out of it. Alfa Romeo looks like it's very settled below Chandler right now. Chandler purple sector 2. He now enters sector 3 through a very tricky set of corners that really resemble a couple corners back from the day when we used to race around Malaysia. Looks like he might be dealing with a little bit of oversteer there. It seems like he's not quite on line where he wants to be. You see him kind of fighting the wheel a little bit. Lock up left. Now the exit. Get up to 5th gear. Quickly downshift to 4th. Barely want to touch the brake pedal onto the front straightaway. That's going to be a new pole time of 132.7. Good on Chandler with a beautiful time. Let's see who's coming through behind him. Ginger Horizon, his closest competition, a 133.3. As we see him going through what I believe is sector 3. He is pushing. Let's see what Ginger can do. Making his way through what I believe will be turn 20. Now coming through turn 21, and he goes to the pit lane. VRL Perandi would just miss it with a great finish last week. He's moved up. He's the only other driver to go sub 33. To be honest, Sergeant, I'm wondering how many more drivers we're going to see this evening go below a 133 that can go sub 133 and hit the 2s. As soon as I say that, NCL Ryan does it in the Mercedes.
We could see quite a few of these drivers go into 132s because these are some of the quickest drivers on this game. So maybe top 7, maybe top 10 could get into the 132s, but it's Formula 1, so we just never know. As we see Mean Fern coming out to finish his lap. Coming around the final couple of corners now.
Got a bit of a lock up there through the penultimate turn. Comes through the final turn now. He's going to run a 134.7. Mean Fern can definitely go faster than that. Mean Fern has more pace in that Alpha Tower than that.
He won't be using Formula 1 roads, I don't think. We run slightly lower, slightly down, so as you say, we explain that engine a lot more so. Hamlin goes a little bit deep into the final couple corners. Coming around the final corner though to go P12 ahead of Mean Fern.
And it's amazing to see Ham Newton that far down, not trying to give Ham a hard time in any way. He's a great driver. He's a champion of BRL and a champion of PPRL. But to see Ham running in 12th after we've been through 4 other seasons of him being in the top 5 every race in every qualifying. In season 3, you couldn't find him lower than P3. He was so fast. We've gotten so many new drivers in this year that you now find Ham Newton in 12th. Hopefully Ham can pull a rabbit and get a little bit more pace out of that Williams.
Yeah, as you were speaking about Ham there, Finn Fan, my co-commentator, I should say, has just started his lap. I'm not even has just started his lap, and sitting in P8 comfortably. So let's see what he can do on this lap. From what I've seen, he's a pretty quick driver.
He revved it out really high in second gear throughout that long sweeping left before he upshifted into third to get a good exit. But it's a great exit that way. I wish I'd have thought of that.
As we see him breaking it. Oh, massive mock up into the hairpin there.
That's 4/10 right
Could have
there.
got. Yeah, it's gonna cost him quite a fair bit. It's cost him 7/10. And again, another look up there. It's not got the confidence on the brakes, it looks like.
Yeah, and everybody's still kind of struggling. Oh, and he's just invalidated, so now he's going to go straight for the pit lane. And we got BRL Pirandi currently on in the out lap.
We have 3 drivers in our laps. The closest one to the start, I believe, is Neymar. He gets a little bit twitchy on the exit of that corner there. Don't know what corner that is. We're coming up the final corner now though. To start his final lap. Probably one of the final laps and he's still doing his qualifying.
Yeah, now one thing to remember, these guys are driving with no assists whatsoever. For all of you that have just joined or have never seen BRL race live before, Tier 1 is the only tier that BRL offers that is 0 assists, no ABS, no traction control, no racing line, nothing. You have nothing to help you get this car around the track, whereas every other tier you're allowed to run either in Tier 2 you can run racing line, and then every other tier past that you're allowed to use traction control and ABS SD for that tier. But this tier surprises me that there's these guys that show up week in and week out that run no assists whatsoever, and they're all running this kind of pace. No, even the gentlemen that are currently down at the bottom, like BRL Neymar's, we see him get a huge lockup. He's going to have to scratch that lap and start over. Big lockup, ruin that lap. He already knew it. That's the sign of a smart driver. When you make a mistake, you already know there's no reason to continue pushing. Either head for pit lane or try again on these tires. But with 1 minute and 35 seconds, I would say you either try again on these tires or just take the L and start back, Sergeant. What would you do?
I would back off and just cool the tires down and just go for another lap. He's got the pace to, but he's stopped on track, which could get him qualified here if he stopped long enough.
Oh, as now Pirandi's had an issue during his lap. That's not going to help him at all.
BRL Neymar is going to be very cold right now because I've had him in the station before, so it's going to be quite a difficult lap for him to get right here. Could see quite a few mistakes right now on this lap.
Currently watching Boss Cookies, he's making his way down the first long straightaway before this series of corners starting with turn 6. Makes his way, takes plenty of curbing on entry there as well. Let's see, he's not banging out second gear like we've seen some guys do, but he took a lot of curbing there and then had an issue. I believe he's not going for a lap now. He was actually moving out of the way. Check back up here. Let's see who's going to be our first car crossing the line.
Looks like he'll be out.
Might be FinFan? No, that's going to be Chandler going for another fastest lap. I don't think he got a new fastest lap though, so he's going to stick with a 132.7. I think that was the time he had before that. Let's see, we've got 2 Alpha Tauris coming through. That looks like that's going to be Meanfern on his final lap just invalidates, so unfortunate for him. Let's look further back. There's a Haas behind him.
Neymar. That's what we can do. Gonna get out the 135s. He can pick up to 213 though. Only on the 134.3. So not the best of times for Neymar there, but Neymar there, sorry.
Ham Newton is a wild card here. He's coming through Sector 3. I didn't get to see how far up he was on his lap time, but I'm sure he's up on his lap time. So here he is coming through the penultimate corner, now makes his way to the final turn. Quick downshift to 4th gear, back to 5th just to get the car settled down. And he's going to come through, and he didn't improve. Wow.
That's a real shame for Hamilton. I don't know if we picked up, but DRC Jared has got a move up to P3. Leading was lower than that before he set that lap time.
Well, remember, last week we saw both Mercedes cars start in the back and then work their way toward the front on the alternate strategy, the far alternate strategy. They started on hards, and then I believe they both finished the race on the soft compound tire on a one-stop. Both Ryan and Jared having great pace today as they did last week, but neither of them having enough to keep up with the Alfa Romeo out front of Chandler Cieta, running a 132.7. Chandler making his comeback return in good fashion this year to BRL with a 132.7. New Zealand Ryan in second. Third, Jared. Fourth place is BRL Pirandi in the Renault with great pace last week. We hope to see the same this week of him challenging the boys up front. Unfortunately, his teammate unable to make this week, but B-Dunk running up front as well in fifth. All McLaren third row, actually, as Ginger Horizons in sixth. Hoopalicious in seventh. Number one, FinFan, eighth, and ninth, VSR Draux. But rounding out the top 10 is the Red Bull of Mex Stalo with a 133.8. So between 10th and first place, there's a second's worth of pace on one lap. Let's see how that transfers over to doing, I believe this race is 28 laps long, if I'm not mistaken. And it's a hard race to do if you're trying to one-stop this race. We only had one gentleman, I believe, in Tier 2 do it just a little while ago. So tire is a really keen issue here today. Most likely we'll see quite a few guys try to one-stop it, but wouldn't be surprised if we saw a safety car today.
Yeah, the race is 29 laps long. We saw one driver do a one-stop, but them softs went 12 laps, I believe, altogether. And they had to pit for mediums, and then with the final safety car pitted for the softs again for the final front. So we can see, we could see quite a few different strategies here. It all depends on what the drivers behind the top 10 do. Depends on what type of strategy we get.
Well, we see the boys rolling off now. Unfortunately, some of the guys in the back we thought would be further toward the front this race, especially Deer Hunter. We didn't really talk about Deer Hunter at all during qualifying, but Deer Hunter, a very solid driver. Surprised to see him starting dead last. Now we see the predicted pit stop strategy. You can take mediums from the start and soft, but I don't think a single one of these drivers is doing that strategy, honestly, in my opinion. I don't think whoever wrote the coding for the pit stop strategy in the game obviously has never really raced these cars on this game.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough strategy to do if they do that. But as I said earlier, these are some of the best drivers on the F1 game. So we could see good time management, and if there's an early safety car, that strategy could be possible. We just never know. But as I said earlier, the drivers up in the top 10, we've got five drivers on top on the medium tyres. So there we try something different, and Deer Hunter on the soft. So he'll be able to get out and lost as soon as possible. You see Beer and Neymar having a little spin in the formation map.
Well, the guys that are on the medium tires, 11th through 15th, have to push harder on this formation lap to bring those mediums up to the right temperature that they need to be to operate. They really need to be between 198 and 205 on the mediums to do well and last throughout this race. But I think all these guys that are on mediums are one-stopping, medium to hard. So the strategy you see on that screen, flip it. Everybody from 11th to 15th is thinking that they want to run opposite of that and one stop to the hards around probably lap 12 and then go the rest of the way. But now we have Deer Hunter pulling up to the grid spot. That means everybody is set and ready to race. We look back toward the front. You can see the gentleman in the back waving the green flag, showing that everybody is ready to go. The lights are coming up. There's 1 light, 2 light, 3, 4, 5 red lights. They hold. And we're underway. Chandler Sieta leads them off with a decent start. But right behind him, now we've got some sort of a glitch going on. It shows Ham Newton in first place. This is not good. What has happened here?
Ryan going into first. It says P3.
Ferrari Nut somehow scored in P2, and Ham Newton somehow scored in P1. Having some issues here. There goes a piece of front wing. Not sure who that's from. Looking back toward the front. Never mind what the leaderboard says. It's wrong. Now it has sorted itself back out. Now Chandler Sieta stuck in a Mercedes sandwich as they exit the the second bit of tight left-handers, making their way down this long back straightaway, which is at least every bit of 9/10 of a mile. I can't give you an exact measurement on it because I have not been able to find one today, although I have been searching for it. Very hard breaking into this left-handed hairpin as we see all of the front runners making their way out pretty well. They're fighting in the back though. BRL Neymar, the newcomer, trying to get by Ferrari Nut but couldn't do it. Looks like he made contact with Ferrari Nut and allowed him back through. Looking back up toward the front now, New Zealand Ryan trying to check out while he's on his good new soft compound tires. Chandler Sieta losing one position, but he's got DRC Jared and the other Mercedes all over the back of him. Everybody's still fairly close together as they run through the penultimate turn, now into the final turn, onto the front straightaway. New Zealand Ryan will lead the first lap of the Hanover Street Circuit.
Finn found in the pit lane. They're very early stops on lap 1. Don't know if they've got damage or not. I believe they have because they've got the front wings out. So I'm going to transfer my mic out because it's that's quite bad.
Everybody's starting to slowly spread out and gain their space now to get good air on the front wing, but Mex Stalo has decided he wants to make a move on the sister car. Puts that Red Bull out in front of the Alpha Tauri. But for how long can Boss Cookie get back to him and make a move? Boss Cookie on the button. He's pulling out of the slipstream to driver's left. Can he outbrake the Red Bull? He's trying. He's going for it. He's put the car there. And he takes the line on exit, making Mex Stalo have to go wide. But that was very good driving and respectful driving from Boss Cookie. Knowing that he's allowed to do that because Mex Stalo was not on the racing line is textbook Boss Cookie. So Boss Cookie still on his form, retains 9th place from Mex Stalo, as he is going to be the biggest mover on the mediums. He's up a couple positions as of now. Looking back toward the front, BSR Drelix in the Williams all over the back of B-Dunk. B-Dunk losing out quite a bit. He started in 5th place. He's now in 7th and under pressure, under fire from the Williams behind. Very wide throughout there, but Mex Stalo having an issue, it would seem, as Ham Newton now drives by him, as Ham now completely misses the turning point, turns in way too early, might have been trying to correct some oversteer that he had going on, but very uncharacteristic of Ham Newton to see him go through a chicane that way.
Perfect. I've moved on to a different mic, so
Yeah, try that.
Looking up toward the front, Chandler Sieta tried to defend from Jared, but unfortunately we had somebody jump in the party to let us know we're having an issue. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to catch that move on stream, got it right at the very end, but Jared now out front trying to chase down his teammate of Ryan. It's all Mercedes 1-2. Can they run away with it now that they're both up front? This is completely different from last week. They both started in the back and had to blow their way toward the front. Now they're both already here, and it would seem Jared is already putting time on Chandler's. Chandler struggles to keep his car under him. No, it's blue. Well, I had to restart the Twitch 5 times in order to get it to work. Every time I'd start the stream, it would start it and then end it. And is it me or just him? Okay, we'll try that real quick then.